mean, we typically go live, but we figured with you on, it's a little dangerous.
I understand.
It's a risk.
Well, wait till I was planning on having Mr. Magazine have a wardrobe malfunction tonight. Why do I think that's going to wind up in the bloopers? Getting a little shaggy there, Franklin Hill. Getting a little shaggy.
He's on strike. Wow, when's the last time you got your haircut, Dave? Wow, that's getting long.
My daughter Rosie came over to eat with us, David, and I said, yeah, we're having the Million Dollar Peddlers on. She goes, oh, do they make $1 million a year? I said, I'm not sure. She said, well, you should ask them that, and if they don't, then that's false advertising.
Can I give you a little tip, Sturt?
Sure.
If you were to take all of that glassware and break it first, you can actually use a much smaller box when you ship it out. I don't know if that helps any or not.
Gentlemen, how you doing this evening?
You're doing wonderfully.
Wait a minute. Why are there two people?
What do we deserve this pleasure of having both of you this evening, David?
He couldn't come up with an excuse this time, so
Listen, I saw both of you guys on consignment chats, and I said, if they're both not on ours, stuff is going down.
You would go over and egg Molly's house, probably.
Exactly.
If I may ask, what show are we on here?
I'm trying to let Stuart introduce it, but he's struggling.
I see this. Yeah, he always
come on, Stuart, wake up. Let's go.
Stayed a big meal.
I need Mr. Magazine to do something. Mr. Magazine, what does that say right up there?
Finders Flippers.
The Finders Flippers show. I've got here on my thing that I typed into my phone. I'm supposed to be in the Finders Flippers show?
That is our after-hours show.
Sorry, guys. I've got to go find the right thing. We'll definitely reach out to you and have you guys on again. Probably in June, like we said.
Is that don't call us, we'll call you?
Yeah. We'll let you know when it's slow. Well, that's all the time we have this evening.
Like and subscribe.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Finders Flippers Resell Podcast. Johnny, I'm trying to figure out what episode this is.
Guys, this is episode 54, or as I like to call it, episode 2 of year 2.
Episode 2 of year 2. I like that. And Stuart, what do we got in store for the viewers today?
Well, we have a real treat. We have one repeat guest. We have Papergoy, and then we also are privileged to have Mr. Magazine this time from the Million Dollar Peddlers.
Well, let's go ahead and bring those guys in because I know they're nervously awaiting to come in. Hold on, Johnny. Help me out here. Do we have 2 Franklin Hill Ventures?
Are we learning about some kind of a merger between these two these conglomerates?
Could be.
Hostile takeover.
It's ephemeral for everybody. You get to be a Franklin Hill Ventures, and you get to be a Franklin Hill Venture.
He's franchising.
Open the Rochester branch, yeah.
Sir, you didn't tell us you were opening a branch up there.
I know you guys are always talking about how you guys are changing your background, so I painted this up here. And boy, Mrs. Papergoy will be surprised when she gets up.
Did he at least send you guys shirts for that?
Yeah, what did you have to do, Stuart, to get that up there?
Well, I think David's just fishing for me to give him a tip on his Next Whatnot show, but...
I see. A little subtle, not too bad. And we have Mr. Magazine. Mr. Magazine is joining us for the first time here on the Finders Flippers Resell Podcast. We appreciate you joining us this evening as well, sir.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Long time coming.
I thought Mr. Magazine was just Papergoy's alter ego that really didn't exist. But
you wishes.
I never see the two of them in the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
Who's Batman?
Papergoy's really the green screen.
He's pulling something on us for sure. 1,000%.
So I know last show we talked about the genesis of the Papergoy name. Mr. Magazine seems like an obvious answer, but where did Mr. Magazine come from?
It kind of fell into it from early years of eBay, picking up big collections of magazines and listing them here and there. And then when they used to rate, or they ranked on the
eBay Pulse was what it was called.
We ended up being the number 1 magazine seller on eBay without even trying.
Well, actually, you were number 2 without trying. You were number 2 without trying, and then you tried.
And then I tried and it became number 1. So we got I think it was my initials or something, or my nickname was my original C. Leone Jr. or something like that. And then Mr. Magazine definitely was a good fit. but I had to put the little dash in there.
Yeah.
So when did you start on eBay? Were you way back in the
98? We both started in 98.
Long time ago,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, so that's what my eBay account says too. Seller since 1998, I think is the year.
So that's what makes you all influencers extraordinaire, then, right?
Indeed.
We're old.
I had to. So as soon as I turned 18, I started an eBay account, right? Because making $5.50 an hour, I felt like I had disposable income, and where else better than on eBay? So I had to call. Now eBay you can put in so they can call you, if you have a concern or whatever. And they were like, "Thank you for being a customer for 80 or 24 years." And I was like, "Cool, God, I can't believe I've been doing anything for that long."
So, David, do you both sell just about the same kind of stuff, or how do you all differentiate what you sell?
Well, I'll give a good example. We recently went in partners on a deal with Mr. Buys a Lot. I know you know him, Stuart, and matter of fact, he spoke highly of you. And I said, "Are we talking about the same guy?" But we went partners on a deal, and it worked out really, really well because the stuff that I enjoy selling is basically, I would say, probably 50s and 60s are things that we both sell. But stuff before 1950 is what I really enjoy selling. And Mr. Magazine tends to sell a lot more of the newer stuff. As well as that, Mr. Magazine also gets a lot more into things like toys and stuff like that, whereas I'm 99% paper.
Okay. So, what kind of toys do you look for in general?
Any type of action figures. Like when I was a kid I collect Batman, Spider-Man, Star Wars stuff. But my retail store, we've been there like 50 years since I was born. We buy a lot of toys through there. Any types of action figures, comic books. We're back into records again. So we're trying to build all that up because I started Whatnot, I don't know, maybe in September, October last year. Yeah. So we're doing comics and records on Whatnot, so we're building that up. And for toys, just about any boys' toys for the most part, sci-fi, horror, anything like that.
Well, you also sell the Barbies and things like that too. You may not enjoy it, but you can sell them. Yeah.
But you might. You never know.
I'm a sucker for buying, so I'll buy almost anything if I feel it's a deal.
So your records, how's that going? I'm kind of interested in that. I know Stuart's got a collection, and I have a collection myself. But what kind of general records are you looking at that you sell mainly?
Almost anything. Well, what happened was we started selling records, I think, in 2010. I got kicked off eBay for like 30 days, and we found Amazon around that point, I think. And for whatever reason, I started buying records in my shop, and people just kept coming with records. And before you know it, we have 50,000 records on Amazon, like about a year or two ago. And they weren't selling. A lot of the older stuff that we listed 10, 15 years ago wasn't selling, so we just ended all of it. They were alphabetized, so they weren't even in order between, each warehouse we went to over the years. So I'm like, let's just kill it. So we had, 10, 15,000 records from 2010, 11, and 12 just sitting there. And then Papergoy's been bugging me, hey, you got to do Whatnot, And finally I said, hey, let's do Whatnot. And we started with 45s, which were good, but it wasn't kind of like getting my blood flowing, the dollar amounts. Mm-hmm. I needed some more. I go, let's try some 33s. And it really took off, and we're doing really well with it. Recycling the old inventory back into Whatnot, back into Amazon and eBay. And I'm buying more now. So it's kind of a good thing. It's helping me out because eBay sales are kind of like putrid right now. So it's making up for that.
So, well,
Mr. Magazine, if you don't mind, why don't you tell them what you did? Was it last week, 2 weeks ago with the Mr. Magazine Marathon over there?
Yeah, I did. Let's see. So my niece does records and comics, and then I got this other kid, James, that does the records on a weekend and one day comics. And they had a record special where I had both of them do it for 14 hours on a Saturday, 6 hours on a Sunday, and I don't know what we made, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. So it was well
just on records alone.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. So he does them 6 hours Saturday, 6 hours Sunday, and we're generally pulling in 3,000 a weekend. So which is huge from doing nothing. So
So one question about the records you're selling and whatnot. What condition would you say most of them are? Are they?
I'd say VG excellent, and and the good thing is they'll pull the records out because obviously the buyers want to see them, and they'll they might have the original inner sleeve, or they can see if it's a first pressing sometimes, whatever, and that helps out. But yeah, I would say VG excellent, in that range for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. I sell a lot of records, but I sell them all out of my booths just because I'm constantly buying collections, and I would say most of them are more in the, good range, probably not quite VG. And I always hesitate to sell those conditions online because, I know people buying online a lot of times are more like collectors, where people come in my booth, they can touch them and take them out. And I almost like dollar cost average my records too. Like everything's $8. So it's kind of like a treasure hunt. I have a lot of people come in, obviously if I find one that's worth $50, $100, I'll pull that, but it can be a $20 record. It can be a $5 record, but they're all $8. And I do really well with that model. So,
and it's the beauty of Whatnot is with them showing the condition, because on Amazon, besides them using stock photos, buyers are really leery of what they're going to get. So that's times, that hurts the sale sometimes, or the price that you could sell it for. But Whatnot's been great. So I'm going to keep it going. And
you're flipping it over side one, side two, and letting them look at it as you're selling it. Yeah.
And my buddy had built up 15,000 records over the last few years. He's been wanting to sell me. And I'm like, I don't want that crap. I've got enough records. We're not selling. So, once one I got started up with the records, I go, hey, you still got those records? So we worked the deal, and he's bringing them over little by little. A lot of good rock stuff, a lot of sealed stuff. So, I can't argue with that.
Are you selling them one by one or in bundles?
No, one by one.
One by one.
Yeah.
Do you have certain starts where you start them, or?
We usually $2 if they're sealed, $5. Box sets could be $5, so in that range. But usually $2 start, no matter what it is, for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's been some of your best-selling albums that you've sold?
We had a jazz one last week, and I try to keep them together because people are asking for jazz or they're asking for rock or something. It all depends. And there was some jazz record. I knew it was decent because I knew it was Atlantic, and but it ended up selling for like $150.
Oh wow!
And I don't even remember what it was. It was just.
How does all the shipping work with that? Because I know, like, shipping records, people are very particular about those.
Yeah, so we ship them the same way we do with eBay and Amazon and Whatnot. As far as they cover all the shipping and all that costs and the labels, we just print the labels and ship them out media mail. But we use the standard record boxes, and then we put cardboard and sleeves in them so they're protected. Anything over $20, we put double cardboard because you never know. So.
Mm-hmm.
So are you shipped? So how are you, like, if people buy 20 records? Are you just using a bigger mailer, or are you putting the record mailers inside a box? Or?
Yeah, we got 12 by 12s. We were all experimenting when we first started what we're going to need, because there's this guy called Helvis. That's his nickname, HAL, like Elvis. And, he's spending hundreds of dollars every day, and he'll buy 40, 50, 60, 100 records. So, they could be, as long as they're 12 by 12 by 6 or 12 by 12 by 8. And then, if they're buying 10 or 20, we got them down to a T at this point. So.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's pretty easy to ship. Just it's kind of like selling postcards. It's a consistent size, and you have the right size box, and they just stack. So
we haven't had anything damaged. No one complaining. Everyone's been happy, so it's been great.
Awesome.
Have you noticed a lot of it is collectors, or a mixture of people with still a little meat on the bone on those? Or
it's even with the comics, it seems to be a mix. There's some dealers out there that are buying some stuff, which is fine. It doesn't matter as long as they're spending the money.
Yeah.
So being fairly new to the Whatnot game, do you feel like you're transitioning like more to Whatnot, or you still feel like eBay is going to be like your
That's fine.
Now, sir, you need to watch our live show. Mr. Magazine made a large announcement last week over on our live show. You must not have caught up to it yet.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that episode yet. So
I haven't seen it either, even though I was in it. But
I was
just thinking about how bad eBay is, and and I don't know why it's so bad. As far as I have really good product on there, anywhere from $20 to $1,000 product. It all depends, and we put the stuff on sale. We take offers, so we're basically selling things for half price, and even then it's not selling. So I'm like, what are we doing here? I'm paying all this money to my employees to list on eBay, and I can do the same in 3 hours of Whatnot that I can in a full day of eBay after their fees. So I said, little by little. Unfortunately, we got 200,000 eBay listings, so I want to transition not out of it completely, but down to maybe 10,000 or maybe anything over $25, and get rid of all the cheaper stuff and just go like I'm doing with the records, old stock, putting it on Whatnot. So same thing with eBay, old stock. We're going to start doing that with toys in the next couple weeks. So we got a lot of toy lots on there, like 50 action figures, $100 or 150, and we're going to end eBay and start putting this stuff on Whatnot little by little, and starting to hire more people for Whatnot.
Isn't Mr. Bazelot doing similar? Didn't he pull a ton of his eBay stuff off? And
yeah, he's strictly Whatnot now, and deals obviously, but yeah, strictly Whatnot.
Yeah, because I know is he doing everything on Whatnot, or does he still do some YouTube auctions?
I think he still does some.
I think he still does a couple of those, but he's moving away from that. Yeah, he's pretty much going straight. Yep.
So, David, the record selling doesn't interest you at all?
Nope, 0%. 0%.
I love it. He flips with me when he gets that type of stuff. He just, hey, I found some records here, and he flips them. So
they take up too much room as far as I'm concerned on the records compared to the ephemera.
Well, I mean, they are flat. I mean,
they are. So is ephemera.
So, do you worry at all about the future of Whatnot, or do you think it's solid enough at this point, or are you able to pivot pretty quickly if something were to go south with Whatnot?
Yeah, I think we'd be fine one way or the other. I mean, at this point, with all the platforms I use, I used to fear, oh my God, if eBay, kicks me off or goes under, I'm going to go bankrupt or, fire out my workforce. Or then it was Amazon, and now I'm pretty confident we've been through everything, the good and the bad over the years. We're still surviving, but if we lost eBay, we wouldn't miss a beat really with the other platforms I sell on. Other sites we might take a little bit of a hit. But I think we're a good one, and I don't think we're going to lose eBay and Whatnot. Probably won't lose either, but if we did, one or the other would be fine, and I doubt they would both fall. So.
What do you think it is? My wife and I are predominantly clothing sellers, right? So totally different. And, we're seeing those same struggles on eBay right now, too, where this is borderline scary how slow it's been. I mean, is it an eBay problem? Is it, not diving into politics or anything, but is it that kind of economic stat? I mean, if things are still selling on Whatnot or moving on Whatnot, but they're not on eBay, like, does eBay have a problem right now? Do you think? Yeah. Yes.
There we go. That was easy. Yeah. Now, I think a lot of it is, and we have a feature on our live show, which Stuart is catching up on at some point. We call it Glitch of the Week. And usually there are 3, 4, 5 glitches. And inevitably, 60% of the glitches are something or other that went wrong on eBay when you're trying to list, or this happens or that happens. And week after week after week, there are problems on eBay. And my thought is, if we're seeing it here on the selling side, what are the buyers seeing? And everyone sitting here is invested in eBay. If eBay is glitched, we're still going to keep trying to log in because we have to. The buyer is not necessarily, especially the younger generation. Why am I going to go there? I couldn't log in. I'll just buy it over on this other site. And I think that the glitches are absolutely killing eBay, to be honest with you. I really do. And I think they have antiquated software. I think we could all agree on that. And they keep building new stuff on top of it. And I'll give the perfect example. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but when you go to relist your items over on eBay, it used to be when it was relisting, it had a blue line across. Now the line goes across with all 4 colors of eBay. Whoa! Now that is a change that we absolutely needed. So they're sitting there using their time, using their resources to make the colors change when you relist something. I got a better idea. Work on the site.
Yeah,
on that pretty color.
eBay's bad about adding features that nobody's asking for. So, but yeah, kind of to your point. I mean, it hasn't been a great weekend like on my off Whatnot platforms. Anyway, I've only sold 10 items since Friday, but of those 10, only 1 is eBay. I mean, it's the other 9 are a combination of Poshmark and Etsy, and I think it's all Poshmark and Etsy. But
now, how many items do you have up on eBay, if I may ask?
1,200.
Okay.
So not anywhere close to what, like Mr. Magazine has. And I don't know, what do you have on eBay, David?
28,091. Okay, yep, something just sold. So 28,091.
Yeah, I mean, and I've been kind of stuck in the 1,200 rut for a while. I mean, I'll get up and then I'll go on a selling spree and sell a bunch of stuff and then, go back down. And I mean, I would like to, the other thing too, I have the 3 antique booths, so that absorbs a lot of inventory that I don't have to list, and I've gotten pretty good at knowing, what sells on the online platforms. And I mean, I do cross post to Etsy, eBay, Mercari, Facebook Marketplace, and Poshmark. So all those constitute like one selling channel. And then I have my booths, and then I have Whatnot, and pretty much Whatnot's exclusively ephemera, like you. I mean, I used to do. I played around with some glassware shows and things like that. And I mean, I don't mind selling glassware. That's 90% of what I sell on the other platforms. But to sit there in a show and sell, 20 pieces of glassware in an hour, and 8 of them go to one buyer, and then it's like a jigsaw puzzle. You just spend so much time trying to figure out how to make things fit and package, and it's just not worth it. Where ephemeras, for the most part, stack and pack. I mean, it's easy. So
can I give you a little tip, Sturt?
Sure.
If you were to take all of that glassware and break it first, you can actually use a much smaller box when you ship it out. I don't know if that helps any or not.
Well, I have noticed that there's sellers on Whatnot, and of course, Whatnot's like the absolute worst place for somebody who's never sold anything to start. But there seems to be, back when we got approved, you remember how hard it was. I mean, you had to submit videos and, prove you had enough inventory to sustain for like X number of shows. And, now it's like, are you a human being? Oh, yeah, you can sell on Whatnot. And I mean, I've ordered a few things from people. I mean, and they'll ship it in a box with like tissue paper wrapped around a piece of glass. And, it comes and it's just like rattling in the box. And then you'll reach out and they're like, well, I've shipped a bunch of stuff out. Nothing's ever broken. And I'm like, grace of God, I guess.
Yeah, David, he likes to ship his in poly mailers. So
I've heard.
Yeah, he's big on that. But if you remember back the one show we had, he told you 20 minutes is shorter than 30 minutes. If you remember,
he did, and I'm still doing research, but it appears to be holding up.
It's still true. Some further research, I've also determined that 15 minutes is shorter than either of those other two. So.
Whoa. No. Let me write that one down there. I don't know about that.
I mean, a math lesson to go with this podcast. I mean, it doesn't get any better, guys.
If I can go off on a bit of a tangent, I did watch your last show, unlike Stuart and our show, and you were talking about if there were money inside the book.
Yes.
My feeling is the only time you ever need to return anything is if it's certainly of an overall personal nature. In other words, I buy a box of stuff from you. It turns out your passport is in there and your checkbook. Yes, those are getting returned. Obviously, no doubt whatsoever about it. Or if the person has said, hey, if you see any pictures of my mother, can you bring them back? Yes, then of course.
So before you return the checkbook, how many checks do you write?
Before I return it, none.
Okay.
I just take a couple out. You know how
that
you take from near the bottom. Jeez.
Let me give you a scenario. Here's your scenario, though, Dave. You got a passport, you got some pictures of the family or whatever, and you got $500 sitting in there. What do you do?
Ooh. I probably would bring the money back in that situation because they've asked for stuff back. So in that situation, I would. I think the other thing that you need to think about, too, is who are you buying it from and why? Yeah. And I'll give a perfect example. A couple of weeks ago, I filled the car up, the Rogue up, with $1,000 deal from a guy who buys storage units. It doesn't matter what I find in there. He doesn't want it back. He bought them all from storage units, so it would make no difference at all what I have. I guess an artificial limb. I think that I might bring back to the guy, too. Hey, give me a hand. Oh.
Did you know that Stuart has a Whatnot show scheduled of all photos of people's mothers that he's gotten out of these different lots?
and he tells them all, you want that picture back? You can bid on Wednesday.
It's the Happy Mother's Day edition.
But do you think, like, not to kind of keep beating the eBay thing, we go to the Goodwill bins a lot, right? And there's all the vintage bros or the t-shirt kids or, whatever you want to call them. But none of them are talking about their eBay store, right? And the struggles of eBay being down. They're on Depop, they're doing all their pop-up shows. Some of them are on Whatnot. Like, is eBay missing a whole generation here? You know, not to sound like a bunch of old men, but it seems like there's a whole just sector that could care less about being on eBay.
Well, Random Neighborhood Kid was, I don't know, 16, 17. And so I asked him at the time, I said, what do you think about eBay? He goes, it's filled with scammers. I said, there we go. There's the problem. You got the 16, 17-year-olds have no trust at all of eBay. They want nothing at all to do with it. And then he went on there to try to sell. And, of course, he got scammers trying to buy from him. That whole thing. Well, I just bought your item. Can you send me your number so I can send this over? And all this kind of stuff. And, of course, the way eBay was set up at the time, and I think it still is, you're only allowed to list 5 items when you start. And that counts as one of your items. So even though it was sold to a scammer, it isn't like, oh, well, that item, now you can relist something else. No, you've used up one of your spots on a scammer. So it's tough to build a business too. You know, say that he decided he wanted to. It's tough to build it.
Yeah.
So do you think that means eBay's days are numbered? If that whole generation doesn't pick it up?
It'll be around, Ruby Lane's still around. So it'll be around for as long as I need it to be around for.
And I think the difference to Wes, I mean, comparing it to Ruby Lane, I mean, eBay is still the big, you can add every other online marketplace together, I think, and eBay revenue-wise is still bigger than, Poshmark, Mercari, Etsy, Depop, all those combined. So, eBay can probably, they may go away one day, but I think they're big enough. It'll take a while before they were to just disappear. But, and with that being said, I mean, I'll get very frustrated with eBay, and then it's like, I'll have a week where I'll just be off the charts with it. And, my brother sells heavily on eBay too. Actually, both of them do. And my brothers and I used to talk. I mean, I know people say, well, eBay does not suppress your listings and doesn't flip switches. But, I mean, there's too many examples that we've both had of where you'll have an item that's been out there for years. And then suddenly, it might have a quantity of 5 and you'll sell 4 of those in 3 days. I mean, there's no way that, that all of a sudden 4 people are just looking for that when it's been out there that long. And those kind of things happen all the time on eBay. So, I don't know what their algorithm does, but they for sure randomly, well, I won't say it's random, but, they push listings at different times for whatever reason.
Absolutely. I don't think, I mean, obviously we don't have the empirical proof, but I don't think there's any doubt at all about that.
Now, what are y'all's thoughts on the whole delist relist argument? Which side of the fence do y'all come down on that?
As far as relisting on eBay?
Yeah, no, you tried that and sell similar.
Oh yeah, that was a nightmare with a lot of listings. Yeah, with all our listings. Yeah, and I had him helping me because I couldn't figure it out.
Well, one of the problems that we had was back, and I forget the name of the company, but it was that company that you could they signed a lot of people up that got a lot of people upset. You might remember this, Stuart, where it was the international sales, and they would put your site, put your items on like 8 different eBay sites internationally. But what it was is when it first started, it was like, click here to find out. When somebody clicked on to read about it, they signed you up for it. And then people were all upset about that because that wasn't what they thought they were doing. They thought they were just reading about it. Well, it would show up, Mr. Magazine and I would both have it where, like, if I have 25,000 items, it would show I had 125,000 items because 10,000 would be on eBay Hong Kong, 20,000 would be on eBay Canada, and so on. So when he ended to sell similar, it ended across all the venues. And then he had to go through all of his ended to find the ones that were on eBay USA. So it was like a complete nightmare.
Luckily, we didn't. I don't know how many we did it with, a couple hundred or 1,000 maybe at the most, but it was definitely a nightmare. And then we were overselling things for a month. I'm like, this isn't for me, because I think Auction Professor was big on that.
Yeah,
that's why we tried it out, and it just wasn't worth it for me. Too much headache.
And I have never done it. One of the reasons why I've never done it is because from time to time you can't find an item, and what do you do then? oh, I listed this on December 12th, 2020. Let me see what else I listed on that day, and let me see what box I might have accidentally put it in. And if you sit there and relist, I won't have that ability. So I just don't bother. I just figure I'll just keep listing more stuff on top of it. If I could jump into something else here that I did a little bit here. Stuart ranked his months last week as well.
Yes.
So that was one of the highlights of the show. They're ranking the months. So I actually went and took a look. And the best month for me, surprisingly, is December, right in the middle of Christmas season. Who saw that one?
Imagine that.
The worst month is June, right in the middle of summer. But the one month that surprised me for being stronger than I thought it would be, and some years it's the third or fourth best month, but it tends to be stronger than I thought, is August. So watch that. That is your sleeper month.
So that's funny you say that, David. So here's my top 5. So December's number 1, just like you. Number 2 is actually November for me, but then January's 3.
Yep.
And then August is 4.
There
so
you go,
just like, and then 5 is May.
Yep.
And then my bottom
sleeper.
So then my bottom 2, June's number 12 and April's number 11.
And June is my worst one as well. So I think we're beginning to see something.
I mean, so that does, there is a takeaway there. I think that, for the most part, you would expect. It's kind of the months you'd expect. November, December, January are all good, and then May you get your tax refund people buying stuff. But yeah, August is a strange one to be so highly ranked on both our lists. So curious, viewers, what's where does August rank for you? Because that seems like an outlier, but.
Mr. Magazine, is your months about the same as well?
It's different, a little different obviously December is huge for me on Amazon. That's always, November, December is huge. January is decent. eBay, I never get excited because Christmas, there's no Christmas for me on eBay. I'm pretty steady, but January we did really well for eBay and Amazon. February is okay, teetering off a little bit right now, but it's still decent. As far as Amazon goes, we got almost, I don't know what it is, almost 400,000 listings on Amazon. So, we're probably selling 100 plus, orders a day there. So that's well. The eBay's, we could be doing 30 a day, we can be doing 60, but it's never really more than that. It's pretty steady at the same amount. It's almost like they won't let me make any more money, no matter what I sell, no matter what sales I put on. I'm doing 1,500 a day, pretty much like clockwork, which is really weird to me. And I got pretty close to half off on most of my stuff, under $50. So, and it's definitely an eBay thing because my Amazon and my other sites I sell on, we've been pumping more into those sites, even with eBay. And eBay's the one that's not growing. I'm not doing more sales, but all of my other sites are. My payroll's at an all-time high, and we got 15 employees, and we're pounding out listings, and just eBay doesn't matter, so whatever I invest into eBay with, whatever I buy and have my listers put on, it's not worth it. I could be selling on the other sites, I think. So.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because my brother, back when he was full time, he was doing all DVD and media, and he was doing really well. He was making a couple 100,000 just selling DVD and video games. Mm-hmm. But he saw the same thing. It didn't matter how much he listed on eBay. It's almost like eBay capped him at a certain level, and he could never get above that ceiling, even though he listed more stuff. And same thing, he sold on Amazon as well. And there was a direct correlation. The more I list, the more I sell. And eBay it was till he got to a certain point, but then it just he could never get it to go any higher.
Would you like to hear my theory on that?
Yeah, what is it?
My theory is that if I have a January 15th, 1971 Time magazine and you type that in to find it, and I have the only one listed, or there's only 2 of them listed, you're going to find mine. Where I think they penalize or reward people is you're like, I just want to take a look. Let's see what's available in Time magazine. And you type Time magazine in. And if I haven't been making my sales, I think I go toward the top. If I have been making my sales, I'm on page 68. And I think that's what they do is I think on those more generic ones where they have a lot of opportunity, a lot of different things they can bring, I think that's where you're either higher or lower. Now, obviously, a specific search on an item that there aren't a lot of, well, obviously you're going to show up for that regardless. But if I type in, I want to get a Spider-Man comic for my sister because she likes that, and I type in Spider-Man, well, I might be on page 727.
Well, and that goes hand in hand with trying to figure out how they rank stuff, like, because, you can be top rated plus or whatever it is and be promoting, and there'll be 10 listings above you that have crappy pictures, that are upside down and they're not top rated and they don't have free shipping and they don't offer free returns. Everything that eBay tells you need to be doing to be high on the list, they're not doing, but yet, there's those 10 listings are above you in the search rankings, and, it makes zero sense.
And there is a theory out there that another thing that'll show up is based on how close you are to the buyer or the seller as well. There is that theory also. So though a New York person will see mine before they see a California's, all other thing being equal, supposedly. But all anybody's doing is guessing.
I think somebody posted on Facebook that eBay's now showing that in the search results, like how far the item is from you. I believe somebody posted that. That's actually part of the grid now. So you're probably right then, David.
But I've also heard from, going into the clothing world, like we struggle to sell pants, right? But we don't sell a lot of pants. And I've heard that if you are like a known pant seller, your stuff gets, kind of put out there more because you're looked at as a pant seller or a shirt seller or whatever it is. So it's hard to sell outside of what you normally sell because you're not pushed out the same. It's hard to figure all these things out.
Yeah, I definitely believe that, especially when I deal in comics and sports cards, but I'm not a comic and sports card seller. They're probably maybe 1% of what I'm selling, but I do get good comics and sports cards, but they'll sell for 20% less than the norm or 40% less than the big sellers, So when I buy them and people come in my shop, I have to offer less on this stuff. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is, or it's not even worth buying it. But yeah, I definitely agree. The big dealers get the top billing.
Speaking about cards, I don't know if we know Stuart didn't. I don't know if the other two saw our live show last week or not. We were talking about, was it Probstein, right?
Yeah.
Probstein is going to be they're a big seller over on eBay selling sports cards. He's going to be doing his own live auctions to compete with Whatnot and with eBay Live. He's trying to get some sellers over there, giving lower fees and all that kind of thing. He has sold on eBay $850 million. That's a bit of money.
Wow.
That's a little bit of money. It's a lot of sports cards to be moving.
Wow. One platform.
Yeah. 850 on eBay alone. Yeah. 850 million.
And he's on Amazon.
Mr. Magazine, do you ever take time to sell like CDs or tapes or anything?
I will if I don't pay much for them, but
not on Whatnot. You haven't.
Oh, not on Whatnot, no. But I
do it on Whatnot.
I would probably go on Amazon. I have a computer kid that's got programs for that stuff, and he'll just list them quick. If I give him 150 CDs or DVDs, he would list them in like an hour or so. So normally, if I had to pay someone to just list them from one at a time, I probably wouldn't do it. But he would knock them out quickly, and you'll get $3 ones, $20 ones, so it would average itself out, so it's worth it. But I would put on Amazon. I might put them on Whatnot if I got some big collection, and I feel it. But most CDs don't go for much. I'm not an expert on it. Sealed ones maybe, but
right.
I would probably entertain it.
We're talking about best months before, and it's funny, us again in the clothing world, like we don't see the summer slowdown, and we don't see the Q4, like everyone's ramp up for Q4. We don't see that, but like August and September are our best months consistently.
Is that back to school stuff, you think?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I think we start to, sell the heavier stuff, the sweaters and the jackets and things like that have a higher price tag over, shorts and tank tops and stuff like that.
So switching gears just a little bit. So how far back do the two of you go as far as being friends, business partners, whatever?
No!
Pretty far back. 35 years probably. Yeah, probably 35 years or so, because I was probably a teenager. Yeah.
Yep.
So were y'all like high school friends or?
No.
He came into my card shop and buying cards, and he was a pretty good customer, so I'd give him deals and stuff. So yeah, and then just grew from there.
Well, and the guy that was renting for me at the time had said to Mr. Magazine, Hey, you need some help sorting stuff, whatever. Yeah, I'll come in and help you. And then the day he was supposed to go in, he goes, I don't want to go. You go instead. I'm like, okay. And
then we had that Canada show, or it was near Canada.
Yeah.
And then you subbed in for him as well there. So.
Yeah. So I ended up helping her to show up in Canada as well, or Niagara Falls, help to show up there. Speaking of which,
Niagara Falls.
Were you aware, Johnny, that Syracuse is winning the Golden Snowball currently? But
I did see that. I did see that.
Anybody that doesn't know, there are 5 big cities: Binghamton, Buffalo, Syracuse, Rochester, and Albany compete for who has the most snow. And Syracuse is up over 100 inches, and we're getting close to 100 inches so far this year. Yep.
Yeah, Syracuse is well ahead. And then I saw something that the Buffalo airport has recorded snow every day except for one.
Except one, yep, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. So you guys got to come on up to upstate New York. It's lovely.
Yeah.
And then there was that one.
Sounds lovely.
There was
brought to you by visitupstatenewyork.com.
There was one town up there they were talking about that has had over 300 inches of snow so far this year up in upstate New York.
Yeah.
So
we'll come up when you thaw out that 3-week period, and that's about it.
Both days or just one?
Yeah, the last week of July.
Yeah.
So did both of you kind of get your start in cards then, sports cards, or?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I started too.
Comics and cards. We both collect comics and cards, so that definitely did it. Yeah.
So what year did you start your card shop?
So my dad bought the building when I was born in 1973, and then it went from like hobbies and crafts to like toys and such, and then videos, and then after that, I think 1980 boom, the card boom in the mid 80s, we transitioned into sports cards, autographs, and started doing the signings, the shows, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so y'all started about the beginning of the end of the good old days of the card hobby. I had my card booth at the flea market in 91 and 92, and at that time, that's when there was so much. All the big distributors were creating all this perceived scarcity of stuff by holding back, cards, and then flood the market. The 89 Upper Deck sets were one of the best examples. They were going. We could sell those things for just tons of money, and then they released them to Toys R Us, and the market just kind of went like that. And same thing with the Skybox basketball cards. We were selling those for like $15 a pack when they came out. Now you can still find boxes of them at Walmart's today, with unopened packs. But it was a crazy time.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Magazine, do you go doing shows? Do you go do shows?
I used to when I was a teenager. I hated it, to be honest with you. I hated it. My dad was always sick, so I did all the work lugging stuff around. So that's one thing I didn't like doing, But then just dealing with, customers walking by, want to pay it 10, 20 cents on a dollar just wasn't for me. I'd rather sit at my desk and list and not have any headaches. Maybe if I get a headache, it's an email. It's not someone in person like complaining. So, but
do you go shows just to be like to buy something?
No, I have so many other deals on a weekly basis all over the country. I can't even keep up with that, to be honest with you. So going to these shows, it's be more like, small time for me as far as like, if someone had 50 magazines or something, like, I got deals that are 5,000-10,000 on a monthly basis. I got to, juggle. Do I want this? Do I want that? And I got a guy, Aaron, that drives all over the country for us. So. Keeps us busy. Making room at the warehouse, that's another thing. We're fighting every time to make room for the next deal coming in. We got 40,000 magazines coming in from Portland. I got an 18-wheeler going out there in the middle of March. Other big deals. We're going on a trip to Ohio. I'm going on another trip to Pennsylvania to look at stuff. So keeps me busy and exhausted sometimes, but it's fun. I enjoy it.
So it sounds like you kind of grew up in the hobby business, though. Is that what you're?
Yeah.
Did?
Yeah, and then transitioned into like the magazines fell into my lap with some big deal I bought in Canada maybe 15 years ago maybe. Yeah. That kind of started the magazine trend for me, and just had a website and got a lot of people buying and selling from that, and just grew that over time, and here we are.
So are magazines still a big part of what you sell then?
So the non-adult magazines, I do a lot on Amazon now. We used to do a lot on eBay, and since eBay's been turning to crap, we transitioned them into Amazon. We're actually ending eBay listings and putting the magazines on Amazon now, and they sell slowly on Amazon, but we have so many on there that we're, one could be 20, 30, $50, where on eBay to be $5, $10, so. And then our adult site, that's where we sell a ton of that on our adult site, magazines. And then we have like the soft core ones you can sell on Amazon, the adult related men's magazines. So
now, is that how you guys know Stuart?
Big buyer.
I was going to say you actually the first Platinum Club member of the Mr. Magazine.
So switching back over to the non-adult magazines. So what are like titles of magazines that sell? Like, what are your biggest selling titles of magazines?
Fashion ones are always good. Celebrity related. Obscure titles, anything like that. And back in the day, we'd put them all on eBay, and they would sell. But now, say you got a $25. Well, you think it's 25. Say a Wired magazine, you're going to put up for $20-$25. It goes on sale for 15 or 20. Then someone's going to offer you 8. We're going to put that on Amazon. Maybe it's $30 on there. And it might sell in a year or two, and we do that with 100,000 magazines. That's a big difference of, moving the product over and getting more money for it, so we don't have to deal with eBay, the discounts and so forth. And Amazon, you could have a Cardcraft magazine on eBay that's $5, and Amazon it might be 20, and you'll sell it for 20. And like, wow, that's crazy. But, but that's where the direction we've been heading in. So,
what about my bin collection of 1991 baseball digests? Is there a market for those?
I would put them on Amazon. If I picked up a sports magazine collection and those were in there, I would certainly put them on Amazon, and surprisingly they would sell here and there.
Hey Wes, have you considered changing your name to Mr. Beanie Baby?
Mr. Beanie Baby?
Yeah.
Well, I've thought about it, but
can we just call him Beans?
Call me Beans, Mr. Beans. There you go.
I think that's already taken.
Hey, we do need to get back together and do another exchange, Wes, because I'm running really low on Beanie Babies. There's probably only 5 or 6 left in the bin.
Oh, we definitely have to get together. Give the other.
So I have tens of dollars to give you.
Tens of dollars.
Yeah.
Hey, every
need
penny
that
counts.
so we can get a new picture up behind them.
Yeah. Well, hey, doing good though. I've changed the background. The lighting's up, so
I like it.
I can send you this over if you'd like.
Well, I don't think we can handle another Franklin Hill Ventures. I don't know. You get to pay up for that though, Stuart.
Tens of dollars.
Tens of dollars. Mr. Magazine, I was wanting to go back to something you just said though a second ago. You were talking about like things Johnny had in his stash or whatever. I have some 1982 baseball cards of a collection from when I was a kid.
Okay.
So are you saying that would be better for me to put them up on Amazon?
As long as you're ungated, yeah. If you're ungated for cards, you can put them on Amazon. You probably might get $80 to $100 for that on Amazon. Where on eBay, I'm guessing $40, maybe $50. It's got the Ripken card, but again, on eBay, you're dealing with 100 of those are on eBay. Where Amazon, there might only be 5, and they're asking for more money, and it'll sell quicker too, probably for more money.
How hard is it to get ungated in the card section on Amazon?
Yeah, that was my next question.
I heard it's very hard now. We were lucky back in the day, even for magazines, we're ungated on almost everything that we deal in, just because we put our time in over time. And
it was easier.
It was even gated long ago. I mean,
it was gated, but it was you basically you said pretty please, and they said no, and you said really, and they go okay.
Yeah, for cards, they
jump into that gated part. Talk about that. What that means.
So only certified. You have to be certified through Amazon to sell in a certain category. So, and I don't even know what it takes nowadays to do that. But we were ungated for cards, and then they gated us. I want to say before COVID, they gated. I don't know for whatever reason. Then we got ungated again. So I don't know if it was a glitch or whatever. But I think you have to submit, whatever reason and prove that what you're selling and why you want to sell in that category and so forth. So. I don't think it's very hard, but I think you definitely have to put time into it. You just can't be a dealer for a month or 6 months and say, okay, I want to sell cards now. It might have to be a year minimum or more now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it depends on the category, Wes. Like I think if you want to be able to sell like new Legos, Legos. I think
that's a tough.
I think you have to prove that you're an authorized distributor of Legos.
A lot of that stuff, like Lego. We got the lawyer from Lego contacted us one time, and they said, you can't sell new Legos because then people think they're buying from Lego when they're buying from me. So we'd have to put it up as a like new, even though it was new and sealed. We'd have to say like new, and then in the description say this is a factory seal, but we just can't say the NEW. Factory seal never opened. You'd have to go, but that's what the lawyer told us, and they were fine with that.
And I've gotten where even if I have sealed stuff, I never list this new on eBay anymore. It's always like new or, whatever the closest thing is. And then I just say sealed. And that seems to, because I used to, when I'd buy sealed stuff, I'd occasionally get a Vero message. But since I'm not doing anything new, I haven't gotten one in years. So
that's good.
And then the stuff still sells.
Sure. The problem with Amazon is no one reads the description. So you can put it for new, very good. And they're going to base it off that condition grade. They're not going to base it off wear in the corner, split spine on this vinyl, scratch here. They're not going to see any of that. So they're just going to say VG, and then they're going to get what the heck? And no one reads it. It's amazing.
Actually, I'm going to ask Mr. Magazine a question here.
Okay.
You get a collection that has the magazines, and it's still in subscription bag.
Okay.
Do you list those as new?
We do, yeah.
So do I. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. So
even the Playboys from the 80s, they had that brown mailer. Mm-hmm. If the magazine is mint inside there, or pretty close to near mint, we'll say that. We might say near mint in original brown mailer, but it's pretty much new or like new.
Yeah.
You guys were talking about cards before, and Stuart, you're talking about Skybox, and I just remember growing up that a pack of Dunross was 55 cents, and Upper Deck was $2.50, and we never had Upper Deck money growing up, and we sure as heck didn't have Skybox money. That was a whole nother level. But we did. So growing up, I'm from Cheektowaga, so we had Bases Loaded was our local card shop, and me and my buddy, we used to hawk autographs at Bison's games, and so I have binders and binders and binders of autographs, but they just let us go carte blanche in the back because we had the Beckett book that had every player and then every single card that they had.
Oh, cool.
And so we would just see who was coming to town, and then we would go through our book and go through the back of the store. And it had to be just one of the greatest times ever, just getting lost in that stuff.
Nice. Oh, speaking of that, did you see that coming up this year, they are changing the Chicken Wing Festival back to the Bison Stadium?
Oh, are they?
Last couple of years, it's been at the Bill Stadium. Now they're moving it back to Bison Stadium right downtown.
The price to host it must have gone up quite a bit, huh?
Visit buffalo.com.
Did they have to get a personal
Buffalo get a new stadium.com?
Yeah, exactly.
Us paying for it.com, but
this is one of the few times Wes and I have been outnumbered. With the visit Knoxville.com stuff.
So this is what this feels like. This is kind of nice.
How's that feel, Johnny?
This is nice.
We want to give you guys an opportunity to plug again where you're at, and everybody can find you. So, Mr. Magazine, we're going to give you the first dibs if you want to kind of tell people where you're at, where they can find you.
Most of my names online is MR-Magazine or MR-Magazine.com. Whatnot, it's Mr. Magazine, MISTER Magazine, and we're doing that 7 days a week now, different times depending on if it's records or comics. Weekends we do 8 till 2 p.m. Saturday and Sunday for vinyls, and during the week 3 to 5. So keep pretty busy there, and everything else is more adult related. So I'll hold back on that.
Just reach out to Stuart if you have any questions about it.
This is a family podcast, so.
And I'm Papergoy, and you can check me out over on Whatnot. That's right, whatnot.com. Tuesday, 10 a.m., and usually have postcards, even though I will be starting to do some magazine ads up there too at 10 a.m. And then 4 p.m. tends to be ephemera on Tuesday, all times Eastern. Wednesday at 4 p.m., we do kind of a mishmash at this point. A lot of times magazines, sometimes books. And then Thursday at 4 p.m., we do books. And then whatever random trains that I happen to sign up for that Paperpalooza, Shopahala, and so on. All of those. And then I'm on, Amazon, there's Amazon, eBay, Etsy as Papergoy, papergoy.com. And then do check us out as the Million Dollar Peddlers. Like and subscribe.
So these two gentlemen have got a lot going on for sure. And we appreciate you guys joining us this evening on the Finders Flippers Resell Podcast.
Of course.
Thank you. Appreciate
it.
And
of course, we'll have you on again at some point as well, probably in June when nothing's really going on.
Yeah.
That'd
be the best time.
That's a good film for us.
June guy.
When those ratings dip,
like
go ahead and bring them.
And we were definitely glad you were able to show up, Mr. Magazine. As Johnny said before you came on, we saw you over on Consignment Chats, and Johnny was probably going to go over and egg Molly's house if you didn't show up. So
yeah, I was definitely going to take that personally for sure.
And Consignment Chats, definitely do check them out as well. They'll be coming on our show as well. We're going to have Paul Carl. I don't know if you ever seen our interviews with him or not. He's big into IT and tech and all that kind of thing. We have him coming on a live show as well. We're going to have a local comic book dealer coming on, talk all about that. I don't know how much you follow the comic book industry, but one of the big distributors, Diamond, went bankrupt. And now a whole bunch of publishers are having all kinds of financial problems as well because, oddly, they like to get paid. So the whole it's real tumultuous over in the comics. So that should be interesting. Consignment Chats will be coming on the end of March, and then we're going to have Auction Professor on in April. So we have pretty busy bookings over there, and then we're going to have you guys on in June. And I do apologize, I wasn't able to make your 200 subscriber thing there, but as a lot of you know, I was suffering from food poisoning then, and I would rather have been on your show than have had food poisoning. I can say that with sincerity.
Well, you survived it, and we're happy for that.
I am as well. Mrs. Papergoy, she's on the fence, but one last thing. I do want one last thing here. So usually we're sitting here recording this, and it is 8:54 on Sunday night. Usually I get up about 10:54, 11 o'clock. So about 2 hours from now, I usually get up. Only Sunday night, Monday morning, and I head on over to Mr. Magazine's store, do some work over there. Mr. Magazine gets up, comes on over. We do like the week's worth of back paperwork and all that stuff. We actually moved our schedules all around, and we're going over to Mr. Magazine's now because we decided getting about an hour and a half of sleep and then getting up and going over there would be absolutely foolish. So we even moved our schedules for you guys. So
it's better for me. I see him at like 12:30 to 2:30. Then I take a nap. So I go to bed you go to bed earlier though.
Yeah, I go to bed earlier.
Yeah, so I'll go to bed like 9:30 to get up at 12:30. I get 3 hours in. Then I come back and try to get 2 or 3 more hours in. Get up at 5, go to the gym, and then I'm up for the day. And then I'm exhausted on Monday night. So this is definitely better. I get a full break. I get 5-6 hours straight. So it's good for me. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you all for moving your schedule around. We appreciate that as well.
Yeah. Mr. Magazine's like, can we be on every single Sunday?
Yeah.
We'll just do it all the time.
It's not worth it. Yeah.
Listen, if you ever are having trouble falling asleep, this is a great podcast for that.
We'll
I just listen to him.
Ooh.
Apparently, I'm the steward of our show.
You're the steward. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Well, that is all the time that we have this evening on the Finders Flippers Resell Podcast, episode 54. Gentlemen, great guest this evening.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Great guest. To be honest, I had no idea the scope of Mr. Magazine's empire. I mean,
for sure. Empire is right.
And
very impressive.
I think David's still small potatoes, but Mr. Magazine, man, he sounds like an empire. So
no wonder he didn't make time for us.
We may have to have him on later by himself.
Yeah,
we'll dive a little deeper in it.
No, in all seriousness, thanks to those guys from coming on. They're always a good time. Can't wait to be back on their show again. Yeah. And hey, great job not butchering the outro this week, Wes. So
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's a one take this time. Well, gentlemen, have a great week of reselling, and we'll talk soon.
All right.
Bye, guys.